This is the Analysis in Chains with Nathan Williams and Neil Kieran.
Welcome to Analysis in Chains by CryptoNews.com, your daily source of all things crypto. My name is Nathan Williams, and joining me today is Lorne Lantz, the CTO of Formosa Financial. Thank you for joining me today, Lorne.
Thanks for having us, Nathan.
So Formosa Financial is a financial services platform aimed at blockchain innovators. Tell us a little bit about what services you guys offer.
Well, generally, we like to talk about first the problem that we're solving. And, this has been a problem ever since, 2009, since Bitcoin came about. And, the biggest bottleneck for everyone in the industry has always been access to banking.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now, especially with ICOs coming into play, every blockchain innovator, they now fundraise in crypto, they innovate in the crypto world. But the problem is they operate in the real world. All their bills, employee salaries, their rent. How do you pay your AWS bills in ETH? You can't. You need banking, right? You need fiat.
Yeah.
So for all blockchain companies, most of them can't get a bank account. So everyone's just kind of using Band-Aid solutions, to manage their funds properly. So that could be telling their bank, that they're really a software company, or using their personal accounts, which is even more risky.
Yeah.
And for the banks, on the bank's end, it's servicing blockchain innovators is extreme. The key word is it's perceived as too risky, right? And the biggest problem for banks is actually they're just not educated on the space. These are bankers, right? They're not educated on the space. They don't understand what the real risks are. So their perceived risk is it's much more difficult for them to, to really know what is the source of funds. How do they know it's clean money?
It took me, I think, 6 months to get my bank account with my startup. And I'm pretty sure that even if everything goes wrong, I could still sell it for a significant amount of money because of how long it took. It helps to know some people.
Yes.
It helps to know some people at the bank.
The other part of it. And the
because
other
it's all about trust. It's trust, and trust is very difficult to generate when you're a newcomer to the space, when you're in a new technology sector, and it's not just that. It's like it's pretty much everything around banking. Not just getting the account. How do you know the source of funds? How do you get the KYC checks?
And that's the ironic thing is we're all trying to innovate trust. That's the whole world we're innovating in. But the other thing,
it's a trustless society. We're trying to. How do you remove this trusted third party? It's
exactly
decentralization, and so how do you operate then in the real world where trust plays such an important role?
Exactly. So the solution that we provide for Formosa Financial is we've created an ideal financial services platform for all blockchain innovators. Including your company that you had to spend 8 months? You said. To try and get
it was a significant amount of time,
right? And access and trust. So the first key area that we solve is really securing reliable banking partnerships that enable us to offer banking services to blockchain innovators. This is kind of why we've stayed low key for many months, is because we focused on those banking partnerships, licensing, compliance. Like all the really sort of hard stuff that most people don't know how to do and don't really have the access to. Like you said, you need to know people, you need to gain people's trust. So we've already gone out and established that foundation. And now that we have that foundation in place, we're now going out and building a solid platform of financial services. That can help the blockchain innovators in one place.
Has it really helped to stay low key up until this point, like in terms of getting those banking partnerships, or would you perceive maybe the banks as trusting you more because you were flying a little below the radar?
Yeah, it is. It is actually better to sort of fly low key. Especially like the banks themselves, they don't necessarily want everyone to know that we work with them, right?
Yeah.
For them, like they're also taking a risk as well, and if we start promoting that, it's it increases the risk for them.
Oh, I guess that makes sense. The more traditional the industry, the more cautious you have to be.
Right. But also for ourselves, this sort of process is best to be done low key.
Hmm.
It's proprietary for us, but also most people involved in the process just don't want everyone to know who they are.
Hmm. So how did you break down those trust barriers when getting these partnerships? Was it just an educational process, or was it personal connections?
A lot of it actually comes from the years of experience from Ryan Terbolini,
Mm-hmm.
who's our lead guy on the project, and for myself. I've been around the crypto space since 2012. I've been going around. I'm an O'Reilly blockchain expert.
Mm-hmm.
I've been going around teaching bankers about crypto for many years now.
Mm-hmm.
You can see my TEDx talk. For Ryan, he was one of the first employees at Ripple.
Yeah.
So he has many years of experience of working with banks, educating them on crypto, and understanding their needs and concerns. So you combine our years of experience, and we're able to gain that trust of banks.
It makes such a difference to have that experience and those connections. It's not the sort of thing that would happen with a couple of people with a big idea only coming into the space and saying, "Well, we're going to disrupt it."
Right.
So, what sort of services are the banks most eager to provide, or maybe turn it around? Which services are you offering because they're most needed in the crypto industry?
Yeah, I mean, we've ourselves, we're actually, the beautiful thing of what we done is we actually went out and did an ICO.
Mm-hmm.
So we know firsthand we're going through the exact same problems that every cryptocurrency company would have, which is the first step for us, and we're in an advantageous situation. The first step for us is just building all these services and platforms to solve our own needs. And the first step is actually custody. Currently most blockchain innovators, they're not experts in private key security, right?
Yep.
They're only experts in the area that they say they're experts in. Most blockchain innovators don't use multi-sig, or they store their keys in unsecure shelves in their apartments.
You got a million ether sitting in crypto in your shelf. It may be secure from hacking, but maybe not from break-in.
Exactly. And if you knew, like, because I've been around the space so many years that I just hear these stories. It's the same stories over and over, of like, I can't believe that person's just storing millions of dollars worth of crypto on a piece of paper in their personal drawer, and they have roommates, and like it's crazy. So the first step of the solution is really custody, and we're going out and partnering with the leading private key security experts to store those funds securely. We acknowledge we're not the experts, but we're going to work with the experts who are. And that, that's the first step, right? If you have a bank account, if you're a regular startup in Silicon Valley, you raise $10 million, you're not going to store $10 million in cash in the drawers in your office, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, hopefully, but I mean, we are
hopefully not.
We are still in the Wild West here,
right? You're going to take that cash and go down to Silicon Valley Bank and put it in a bank vault. So the same sort of analogy here. We go and store those funds in a secure place. Now that we have your funds stored in a secure place, now we can offer services that most commonly are needed.
It's interesting because this is one of the big questions about adoption in general. Like it's one thing to talk about crypto startups that do their ICO with $10 million sitting in a tracer somewhere on a shelf. But even
Right.
for grandma and granddad to start using crypto for regular payments or to get mass adoption, that's also a similar problem. Even a few $100 or $1,000 sitting in a shelf without private key custody,
Oh, yeah.
it ends up being a financial risk to the individual. And
Right.
yeah, I remember talking with some bank people saying that this is one of the reasons banking isn't going away necessarily, even though crypto does take away or replace settlement or payment solutions, is because there's this custody issue and other services that are provided.
Well, yeah, I'd argue it's more about centralized services. No matter what, you're still going to have centralized services to manage people's private keys for them.
Hmm.
They're like, I would prefer to trust a centralized service to hold my private keys rather than, I hold to myself and I'm not, if I'm just the everyday person who doesn't know anything about private key security. It's the same thing like 20 years ago with email servers. Are you going to go and set up your own personal email server? Or are you just going to fill out a form and use Gmail?
It's interesting that this was the same sort of problem that came, I guess, in the 1930s when people were very mistrustful of banks, and banks had to build big buildings in order to gain trust, in order to get people to trust them with custody of their cash, because before they would just put it under the mattress.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and getting insurance for bank deposits was necessary to prevent against robberies, and so there was a whole infrastructure that was built up to protect people's
Right.
assets. And it seems that you're part of building this up to protect people's crypto assets at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. And that's really just the first step. Once we've now secured your funds, now we can offer services that'll help you manage your business properly. And that first step is helping you operate in the real world, which is crypto to fiat trading. More like a brokerage type service. So most blockchain innovators right now just don't have access or even the knowledge to know how to get those proper exchange rates, right? They take $10 million in crypto. First of all, how do you even get a corporate account on one of these exchanges? Right? That whole process is erroneous. And, like you're going to probably wait 3 months and hopefully you get approved.
Yeah.
And that's just one exchange, right? How do you get best price execution to look at multiple exchanges? So we have already the connections to many brokers and different exchanges where we can ensure, great price execution and fast exchange rates.
Now, the question that naturally comes when you're talking about brokerages is that every ICO is looking at how to get listed on an exchange and how expensive it is, how difficult it is, how the waiting list time to get there. And so,
Right.
this seems to be the sort of thing that would disrupt the sort of cartel nature of the exchanges
Well,
as it goes forward.
yeah, that part we're not changing.
No?
Like, we're not helping people get listed on the exchange. It's more about helping cryptocurrency companies just get an account, an account that they can start trading on those exchanges.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that way you can do the crypto to fiat trading.
Yeah,
right. But even
there,
if
if I can convert crypto to fiat as a private individual, then it becomes much easier to exchange it for other crypto. It becomes much more fluid.
It does, but are you going to take $40 million of crypto and trade onto your own personal accounts?
Well, no.
And it would have to be. Well, that's exactly it, right?
Well, no.
It has to be on one of those exchanges that has fiat banking as well. And all those exchanges are plugged into IRS, CRA, like all the tax authorities. So, you're taking a very big risk in using your personal accounts to trade that much crypto. So these are like things that, a lot of the people doing, like all the blockchain innovators, many of them just don't realize those risks.
Well, I mean, when you're talking about risk management, you got risks on the side of the regulatory side, but you also have sort of the volatility risk as well.
Yeah, and that's actually the third service that we provide is managing the risk. So, like you have $10 million in crypto today. How do you make sure it's still worth $10 million in crypto a month from now?
Well,
Not
ideally it'll
even a
be
year
worth
from now,
20,
like a
right?
month from now. Right. Hopefully it's worth 20. Hopefully it's not worth
when
5. You don't
when
know. Like
Lambo, when Moon, right? As they say.
exactly. You're just flipping a coin. You have no idea.
Hmm.
So we have some finance people on our team. Will's our CIO.
Yeah.
He spent 20 years in Hong Kong. And we put together a customized portfolio plan for all our blockchain innovators, to ensure to mitigate that risk of volatility and ensure that their cryptos, still valuable a year from now.
That's an interesting aspect, is how do you hedge against individual crypto risk? And I suppose, yeah, an index fund or something like that, where you've got multiple assets in it, would be one way.
Yep.
Is that how you're approaching it?
Exactly. Yeah, there's multiple ways. To be honest, I'm the guy building the platform.
Hmm.
Will is really the one who's got all these different techniques to ensure that we can mitigate that risk. So the key thing is that we have that finance experience on our team.
I want to shift gears and talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you guys went through into getting to this point. Because you said you've done your own ICO,
Yes.
and how long ago was
So
that?
we did yeah, that was basically through March. Well, no, it was April and May.
Hmm.
So about 2 months. It was a private fundraise,
Hmm.
and we raised a significant amount of funds.
Now, what was the decision process behind going behind a private fundraise for something like this? Do you find you missed out on getting a good community behind you, or was it the better route?
A bit of both.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like we did miss out on, our marketing. Our whole marketing plan got delayed a couple months because usually when someone does a public ICO, they start marketing from day one.
Hmm.
But, we kept low key. And part of that keeping low key was also, we were still going through that process of locking up those partnerships. Um, and also just the type of people that we're working with to, get our business set.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was sort of the plus of keeping it as a private fundraise. The other plus is also, we have much lower risk of like, any potential regulatory, any sort of, getting charged by any regulatory
I
body.
suppose that would make a difference for your
Right.
partners if you're trying to get the banks on board, right?
Right. We're not soliciting in public.
Hmm.
We're soliciting in private, and that makes a huge difference from a risk point of view.
Financial regulations tend to be very regional, right? So very
Yes.
different between Germany and even some of the rest of Europe, different between there in North America or mainland China or Taiwan or Korea. What regions did you focus on at the beginning, and why did you choose them?
You're talking about for a private
Well,
fundraise or for the
sorry. I'm talking
customers
more.
we're going
More.
after?
Sorry, I just switched gears. I think without telling you, what I was looking at is your services. Actually, um,
Oh, yes.
like who would use
So,
you? Like if I'm going for
yes.
certain, is it only useful if I'm going for certain regions, or is this?
No, actually, we are looking to service blockchain innovators from all over the world. As long as, because it is still an international
Mhm.
technology, everyone everywhere in the world still has these needs.
And how did you get started with choosing the regions to begin with? Was it just who you had connections with at whichever banks?
Yeah, so the way we see it is there's only a handful of countries around the world where you can actually add a bank account for a cryptocurrency company.
Hmm.
So like Singapore, for example, the government is very pro
Hmm.
blockchain. They've implemented a lot of regulations that are blockchain friendly, but then try to get a bank account. Good luck. The banks are not playing
Hmm.
ball.
Hmm.
But sort of the few regions around the world that are open to it is like obviously
Hmm.
Malta. We've heard recently, Switzerland, sort
Yeah.
of. depends on who you are. Taiwan is one of them. And so that's one of the main reasons why we're here. Let's see, Taiwan, Puerto Rico, Philippines with that new CESA license. Otherwise, I can't really think of any other ones. Could you?
I'm probably not versed enough in regulatory matters to know, but I'm not aware of any.
Right.
I'm not exactly.
So, I mean, that's more so, we're not just focused on Taiwan for getting banking. We're setting up bank accounts all over the world. And a big part of that is to mitigate the risk in our business as well.
If I was going to be using Formosa for, say, custody and brokerage, how would I get started?
Well, we will have a wait list coming out. We're announcing it next week, actually. I don't know if I was able to say that, but yeah, it's going to be coming out next week. Our platform will be, it'll be ready in beta in 2-3 months from now. And then once we're out of beta, then we'll be opening it up to the public. So that's why we're setting up the wait list now, because we know there's, it's a problem across the board. So, we're open to letting all the blockchain innovators start to sign up right now and express their interest in it.
That's really exciting. So I guess we'll expect some big things from you guys going forward, and hopefully the wait list filling up fast.
So www.formosa.financial, and there you can, contact us, and, soon next week we'll have the wait list up.
That sounds excellent. Thank you very much for joining me on the show today. Best of luck going forward. Lorne Lantz is the CTO of Formosa Financial. Visit at formosa.financial and find out if they are going to meet your custody, brokerage, and risk management needs, I guess.
Well, managing all your funds, managing all your funds for
the ICO. All right. Well, best of luck. Good luck. I think this is an interesting development in the industry.
Great. Thank you.